Okay, everybody ready? So this morning we're going to talk about discovering your timeline. Good morning, BNI Thrive family and guests. My name is Laura Harvey and this is my husband, Rob. We work together as coaches and trainers. Today we're going to give you a teaser of one of the things we teach. First, we're going to tell you a story. There was a couple that had been married for about 35 years when this story happened. You know how sometimes when something happens, it changes everything and you cannot go back.
There had been a disagreement. The wife was expecting the husband to come home and assist with something that was planned. He didn't show up. That wasn't unusual. Finally, she came to understand that he had turned off his phone during an appointment, then carried on with other things, not remembering that his phone was turned off and that there was other things planned. When he got home, there was a rather heated discussion. The wife thinking,
"Why does he keep doing this to me?" The husband thinking,
"What is her problem?" The next day, the wife was still upset, which was rather unusual. She was going for a coaching session with a gal that holds similar certification to which Laura and Rob now hold.
When the wife got to her coaching session, the coach started a discussion about how we hold our timeline. What the heck is our timeline? Never heard of that.
They uncovered the wife held her timeline out in front of her. Her past was to her left and her future was to her right. It was quite easy for her to recall the past. She schedules things out into the future, uses a day timer, quite organized and structured.
Now, the husband, on the other hand, the past is behind him, the future is straight out in front of him. His timeline travels through him. He didn't recall past events easily. He was in the present, cannot easily access the future, doesn't pay attention to time, had no recollection that he said he would come straight home to help with the project that was planned, didn't even remember he had turned off his phone. That was right. He was in the present moment.
So what happened? This couple came to realize that they were not doing this to bug each other. It was that they were wired differently. So what happened? Things changed.
That's right. Things changed.
Never to go back the way they were. The husband realized what had been happening and reorganized his timeline a little differently. The couple would find they were both at the front door and ready to go out at the same time. That would seldom have happened in the past. They would even leave home ahead of the planned time. They would stand there and laugh. Such a difference.
You might recognize this scenario. Maybe it's you or someone you know. You know how some individuals are always late, or some individuals are always on time, or maybe even early. If you have experienced this, you will understand it can cause a lot of challenges in relationships, whether it be with the spouse, family, friends, work, or business.
So let's have a quick look at this concept. This is just a teaser to show you one of the things we teach in our Unlock Your Best Future seminar when we teach our fast track practitioner training. Unfortunately, we don't have sufficient time to go through this with the group.
So as we look at this slide, it gives you a few options of how you may store your timeline. It could be any one of the lines or combinations of lines on the slide, or it may not be any of the combination at all, as some people store time very differently.
It really doesn't matter.
However you store your timeline is perfect for you. It's mostly a matter of uncovering that there is a connection between the past, the present, and the future events. It is also to understand how it affects our behavior and how we communicate.
There's one piece of information that we need to give you. All memories are stored in your unconscious mind. That's right. All memories are stored unconsciously. As you look at this diagram, the wife in our story, her entire timeline went from left to right in front of her. The past to the left, future to the right. Life was very organized. That was who she was.
The husband, his timeline went from back to front. That is right. His past was literally behind him, not easy to access, over with. He travels in the present moment. His future is straight out ahead of him and doesn't see it easily. Gets caught in the moment, just goes from one thing to the next and doesn't remember that there are other things that he said he would do.
We hope that this piece of information has piqued your interest. If you would like to learn more, please set a time for a complimentary, confidential information session with either one of or both of us. We are currently setting dates for our Unlock Your Best Future in June of 2022.
So we thank you for attending this presentation.
What did you learn?
What questions or comments do you have?
What do we need to know?
I just want to say thanks for your presentation. And I had a really interesting one-to-one yesterday with Laura as well, which helped unlock some of my questions about what they do. Haha, get that? Play on words. Anyway, yeah, I hadn't thought of, things that in my life, sort of the way that Laura had started to explain it to me. I've been to lots of counseling before and stuff like that, but just the way it was explained was really interesting to me. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about how that works at a future date. So thank you for your presentation, and hopefully we can have another one-to-one and dig in a bit more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Ken learned some interesting information when he came and did the weekend. You want to share?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was wasn't what I expected at all. I was pretty skeptical when I went in, but I went in with an open mind still. And yeah, I learned a lot through it, and definitely improved my quality of sleep, and a few other things too. It helped me deal with anxiety a bit. And yeah,
I think
thanks, guys.
You also learned that you and your wife both have the same timeline and couldn't understand that anybody might be different.
Yeah, but yet we don't work the same way though either. So I don't know. I'm usually the one waiting for her at the door, but
but once you understand that you're not doing things to bug each other, it totally takes the stress off. Right? Like when you understand that everybody has a different way of processing it.
The other thing about this is you can change your timeline as well. You can work at it and change your timeline. What I've done now is my past is still behind me. I still have real issues accessing memories of past, but my front is now out in front and across to my right a little bit, so I can see the next few things coming. And then my future is away from out front from that. So I now have a little bit here in front of me, which are the immediate things coming up that I can see that they're in front of me now, rather than being one page behind the other page that you can't see.
That's really interesting, Rob, that you bring that up, that you can actually change your timeline and then adjust as needed. That's wonderful.
When I first started, my timeline was from right to left, and it's flipped. It's now left to right.
Is that good or bad?
It's good. It doesn't really matter, but it's just to notice the difference.
Yeah, great. Awesome, awesome. Incredible presentation. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Well, I was wondering about the diagonal lines. So you just touched on it in terms of
We have seen people with their timelines going all different directions. Some that in front of them, they go up, past is down low. Everybody carries their timeline slightly different. Like we can make groups of people that it's in front of them, groups of people that it's behind and out straight ahead of them, but they're all a little bit different. And we had a real interesting one with a young person, and he said, could it look like this? And he drew 3 circles, and the present was the intersection of the 3 circles.
Mm.
Oh,
So yeah, there's many different ways a timeline can be held. And it just takes a little exploration to find what that is.
Mhm, mhm. And I've heard comments, from folks who just went through your training a couple weeks ago, multiple comments of I'm sleeping better. So I don't know if you have like a very, very short answer to what about doing this, unlocking your future training helps people with their sleep.
Sleep is not being able to sleep is usually because the unconscious mind is working on something. And it keeps busy doing that until there's resolution of that issue. Once that issue is resolved, and we do that by letting go of getting the learnings and letting go of the negative emotions attached to that issue, then it just clears things out. It's like wiping off a foggy window or a window full of condensation. Take a squeegee and you wipe it off, and look what it looks like now.
Thank you.
In about a week of really weird dreams.
Yeah, well, we kind of set you up for that a little bit, didn't we, Ken?
Yeah.
oh, wow, that is awesome. That's incredible. Everybody could use better sleep, and sleep is so important to us. So that alone, if that helps you in that aspect alone, it's well worth the seminar. June 22nd, your next one, you said?
June of 2022. We haven't set dates.
Oh,
It'll depend on who's attending. We will cater that. There's 3 weekends open. We've got one of them booked already, but
okay. All right. So now that we